Interesting geographic point about this whole area is we're probably right here, not too far from where the very first Norsemen landed in 978. Snæbjörn, Galti, Hólmsteinsson. Anyway, Snæbjörn Galti was operating off of some information produced by a guy named Björn Olfsson, probably some years, decades earlier, sailing from Iceland and noticing this amazing area. And Galti arrived with a small expedition and tried to set up a colony that turned into something of a catastrophe. There was a saga written about Snæbjörn Galti. It's been lost over the years, but like most sagas, probably follows a fairly familiar pattern. Snæbjörn would have been one of the unlucky folks, very much like Bjarni Hrolfsson. Bjarni Hrolfsson, the son of Hrolf, who is famous, probably not as famous as he should be, for founding the small site of Hrolfnes, the very southern point of Greenland. That would have been the first place that Greenlanders folks arriving in Greenland from Iceland, Norway, and so forth would have called at. It would have been a port of call, very famously excavated by Paul Norland in the 1920s, the cemetery there, where he found fabrics dating to the medieval period, showing that folks in Greenland were wearing clothing styles similar to those of Europeans. So there was definitely contact, even at that late date. Anyway, back to Snæbjörn. His expedition was beset by, so we're told, conflicts of one kind or another between him and his crew, captains of other vessels and so forth. And in 978, Snæbjörn Galti met his demise. 4 years later, another expedition leader, a fellow named Erik the Red, arrived, much more well-known and famous now, because unlike Snæbjörn Galti, Erik the Red kept control of his expedition. It was probably a much larger expedition, and they fanned out across southwestern Greenland and started the Greenland, Norse Greenland colony in 982. And of course, it's Erik the Red's son Leif who follows Bjarni Hrolfsson's sighting of North America and actually lands there and becomes famous as the European locator of indigenous North America. Now, Snæbjörn is killed, so we're told, on that expedition. So he becomes an unlucky one, like Bjarni Hrolfsson, who sighted what's now North America, but didn't explore it. So he was much criticized. Leif Erikson, of course, much celebrated for actually crossing between Greenland and Labrador, Baffin Island probably, and Newfoundland, and maybe further south, and actually exploring the area, coming back with stories of some just remarkable riches that were followed up by several attempted colonies later. But this area where we are right now, where Bluie East 2 is, would have been probably within a few miles of where Snæbjörn Galti would have landed in the year 978. So extraordinary to think of the history here, going back well over 1,000 years, of Europeans coming ashore here, trying to establish colonies. And at that point, at the time the Norse arrived, the indigenous population, Dorset Inuit, would have been long gone. It would have been a conflict with the Thule Inuit several hundred years later that eventually perhaps contributed to the demise of the Norse colony itself sometime in the late 1400s.